Imagine paying rent on time for 3 years straight, never missing, never causing trouble only for your landlord to steal from you, break into your home, and threaten to call the cops on you for 3 years. I lived under the thumb of the worst landlord imaginable. But when he finally pushed me too far, I found a way to hit him where it really hurts his wallet and his record. And let me tell you, the revenge was worth every second. If you've ever dreamed of watching karma crash down on someone who truly deserves it, you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and drop a comment about the worst landlord you've ever heard of, because this guy takes the crown. Let's dive in. For 3 long years, I lived in an apartment that should have been condemned. When I moved in, I thought it was going to be a fresh start in my own place, some independence, and maybe a little peace. But instead, I walked straight into the personal playground of a landlord who thought tenants were nothing more than walking dollar signs. And let me tell you, this man was shameless. It started small. A missing bottle of laundry detergent from the shared laundry area. Then a box of dryer sheets. A week later, my actual dryer disappeared. Who steals a dryer from their own tenant? I confronted him, and he just shrugged, like I was making it up. But it didn't stop there. 1 month, the plumbing went bad. Nothing unusual. It's just the wear and tear that happens in an older building. I reported it, expecting him to handle it. That's his job, right? Instead, I get slapped with the bill, hundreds of dollars. He actually told me, that's your responsibility. Don't call me for that again. I had no choice but to pay. And because of that, I was late on my rent for the first time in 3 years by just a couple of days. That was all the excuse he needed to start treating me like a delinquent. He started leaving letters on my door trying to intimidate me. The worst was when he tried to charge me an extra $150 a month for parking a spot that was already included. In my lease, when I pushed back, he threatened retaliation. That's when I realized this man wasn't just greedy, he was vindictive. And he didn't just harass me on paper. There were nights when I'd hear someone jiggling my lock. The first time, I thought I was imagining it. But one night I caught him in the act, my landlord, trying to break into my apartment, my safe space, my home. The surge of fear I felt in that moment was like ice water running through my veins. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking, and the only thought in my head was, if this man can break in now, what's stopping him from walking in while I'm asleep? That's when I went to a lawyer. I needed protection. But when my landlord found out, he doubled down. He started treating me like his personal enemy, raising my rent demands, piling on threats, and pushing me harder and harder. And the thing is, this apartment wasn't even worth the fight. The place was a dump. The porch was rotting, and Dangerous Sigh was afraid it would collapse under me. The ceiling was peeling so bad that every time I cleaned, I'd sweep up paint chips. The gas heater, not even close to being up to code. Don't get me started on the plumbing. I later learned a lot of it was actually illegal, but I stayed. I put up with it, month after month, year after year. I paid on time, I followed the rules, I bit my tongue. I told myself I just had to make it work. Until one day, he finally gave me the push I needed. Out of nowhere, he tried to raise my rent by $500 a month. $500. I stared at the notice in disbelief, my blood boiling. He didn't care if I could afford it. He didn't care if it was legal. He thought I was trapped, but I wasn't trapped. Not anymore. I decided that if I was going to leave, I wasn't leaving quietly. 4 days before my move-out date, I made a call to the building inspector. And when I say I told them everything, I mean everything. The illegal plumbing, the porch that looked like it was built by a toddler with a hammer, the gas heater that was practically a time bomb, the repairs he made without permits. I went down the list, one violation after another. The inspector showed up the very next day. I watched from my window as he walked around, tape measure in hand, scribbling notes. He spent hours on that porch alone. And I knew exactly what those notes meant. Fine C. Each violation comes with a penalty. $500 per day, per violation, until it's fixed. My landlord's greed had blinded him to the fact that his entire building was a ticking time bomb of code violations. And now, he was going to pay for it. literally, but of course he wasn't done trying to control me. A week before my move out, he sent me a message saying I needed to be out at a specific time. That's not how leases work, and he knew it. But he wanted to assert control, to make me feel like I was still under his thumb until the last second. When I ignored him, he threatened to call the police, so I did one better, went to the police. Myself. I walked into the station, explained the situation, and told them flat out, my landlord is going to harass me on moving day. I want you to know in advance. The officer nodded. If he shows up and threatens you, give us a call. And of course he did. On moving day, he stormed up to my door, yelling and pounding, telling me I was trespassing in my own apartment. He tried to scare me, picked up the phone, and called the police. When they arrived, they shut him down immediately. They told him I was in the right, not him. For once, the law was actually on my side, but his last act of desperation, that one, still blows my mind. I had left for a couple of hours to put boxes in storage. When I came back, I couldn't open my door. First, I thought I was losing my mind. Then I saw it. It literally nailed my door shut. My landlord had broken into my apartment and barricaded me out like it was some kind of eviction stunt. That was the last straw. I called the police again, this time demanding a supervisor. By the time they arrived, my landlord had conveniently disappeared. But it didn't matter. I had proof. They wrote the report, and this time they didn't just give him a warning. They pressed felony charges. Breaking and entering. Harassment. So in the span of a week, my landlord went from smug and untouchable to facing thousands of dollars in daily fines and a felony on his record. And me. I walked away free. Free from him. Free from that nightmare. Apartment. Free from the constant fear of being harassed in my own home. There's something indescribably satisfying about knowing someone who tormented you for years is finally being held accountable. He thought he was above the law. He thought I'd always be too scared, too powerless, too small to fight back. But all it took was a few phone calls, some patience, and the truth. Now he's the one scrambling, paying fines, and answering to the police. And me? I'm finally at peace. At the end of the day, this wasn't about revenge for the sake of revenge. It was about justice. It was about standing up for myself when someone tried to strip away my dignity. And sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't yelling or fighting, it's letting karma, the law, and a little persistence do the work for you. So, what do you think? Did he get what he deserved? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Tell me, what's the most satisfying act of revenge you've ever witnessed? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs a little reminder. No matter how powerless you feel, justice can find its way.